"Are you sure you desire me?" Human said, the vampire queen. Yet I chose her. Next few weeks changed everything. Ji-hun worked day and night to build a machine that could make synthetic blood in large amounts. His crew helped him, and slowly the vampires began to help too. At first, they were afraid of the strange human technology. But when they saw what it could do, their fear turned to wonder. The first vampire to try the new blood was an old male named Tyke. He had been weak for many years, barely able to walk. He drank a cup of the synthetic blood, and within hours, his strength returned. He could walk. He could run. He could smile. Word spread quickly through the kingdom. The human captain had saved them. The human captain had ended their hunger. More vampires came to the ship every day. They brought gifts for the humans. Strange flowers that glowed in the dark. Beautiful stones that shone like stars. Food and drink that was safe for humans to eat. Not everyone was happy, of course. Some vampires did not trust the humans. They whispered that this was a trick, that the humans were planning something, that Yuna was making a mistake. One vampire in particular was very angry. His name was Sung-ho, and he was a powerful lord. He had wanted Yuna to marry him for centuries, but she always refused. Now he saw how she looked at the human captain, and his jealousy burned like fire. "My queen," he said one day in the throne room, "this human is dangerous. He's made our people depend on his machine. What happens when he leaves? What happens when the machine breaks?" Yuna sat on her throne, calm as always. "The human will teach us how to maintain the machine, and he has already made copies of the plans. We will never depend on him alone. But why do you spend so much time with him? Every night you go to watch him work. People are talking. Let them talk. I am the queen. I do what I want." Sung-ho's face darkened. "You are falling for this human. I can see it. This is madness. He is food. Nothing more." Yuna's eyes flashed with anger. "Be careful, Sung-ho. You forget who I am." Sung-ho bowed, but his eyes were full of hate. "Of course, my queen. Forgive me." He turned and walked away. Yuna watched him go. She knew Sung-ho was dangerous, but she had bigger things to think about. That night she went to the ship again. She found Ji-hoon sitting alone on a rock outside, looking up at the red moons. "You should be sleeping," she said, sitting down next to him. "I cannot sleep. Too many thoughts in my head." "What are you thinking about?" Ji-hoon was quiet for a moment. "Home, Earth, my family. Tell me about your family." "My parents died when I was young. I grew up in a home for children without parents. I joined the space program when I was 18. The stars became my family. My ship became my home." Yuna nodded slowly. "I understand. I lost my family too, long ago. What happened?" "A war. 3,000 years ago, our people fought against another race. We won, but we lost everything. My parents, my brothers, my sisters. I was the only one left. So the first became queen. That is a heavy weight to carry for 3,000 years. It is. But what choice did I have? My people needed me, so I stayed." They sat in silence for a while, watching the moons move slowly across the sky. It was strange, Ji-hoon thought. He was sitting next to a vampire queen, a creature from his worst nightmares, and he felt peaceful. "Can I ask you something?" He said, double quotes, "Yes. Why did you not kill us?" "That first day, when I stood before your throne, you could have killed us all. But you did not. Why?" Yuna thought about the question. "I do not know. When I looked at you, I saw something. You were different from other creatures I have met. You were not trying to trick me or fight me. You were just honest. Brave and honest. It made me curious. curious enough to save 42 human lives. Perhaps I was tired of death. Perhaps I wanted to try something different. Perhaps. She stopped. Perhaps what? Yuna looked at him. In the light of the red moons, her eyes seemed softer than before. Less like a predator. More like a woman. Perhaps I was lonely. And for the first time in 3,000 years, I met someone who made me feel less alone. Ji-hoon felt his heart beating faster. This was dangerous. She was a vampire. A queen. A creature who had lived for millennia. And he was just a human. A small, fragile human with a short life. But when he looked into her eyes, none of that mattered. I make you feel less alone? He asked softly. Yes. Is that strange? No. You make me feel the same way. They looked at each other. The moment stretched out like a river of time. Then Yuna looked away. This is foolish, she said. You are human. You will die someday. In 50 years, maybe 60. And I will still be here. Alone again. Then let us not think about 50 years from now. Let us think about tonight. About right now. Yuna smiled that real smile again. The one that made her look almost human. You are very wise for such a young creature. I have a good teacher. They talked until the first moon set. About everything and nothing. About stars and dreams and hopes and fears. And when Ji-hoon finally went to sleep, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Happiness. But happiness on Nocturna was a dangerous thing. Sung-ho watched from the shadows, his red eyes burning with jealousy. He had seen Yuna and the human talking. He had seen the way they looked at each other. This could not continue. He went back to his castle and called his loyal followers. They were vampires who remembered the old ways, who believed humans were nothing but food, who thought their queen had gone mad. We must do something, Sung-ho said. The human has poisoned our queen's mind. If we do not act, he will destroy our kingdom. What do you suggest, my lord? Asked one of his followers. Sung-ho smiled. It was not a nice smile. We wait. We watch. And when the time is right, we strike. The human will die. And the queen will remember who she truly is. The followers nodded. They began to plan. And far away, unaware of the danger. Jin dreamed of red moons and a beautiful queen with eyes like rubies. He did not know that his greatest test was still to come. The next morning, he woke to find Yuna standing in his doorway. Her face was serious. We have a problem, she said. What kind of problem? The kind that can kill us all. She took his hand and led him outside. The entire crew was there, surrounded by guards. In front of them stood Sung-ho and his followers, and in Sung-ho's hand was a weapon. A weapon pointed straight at Ji-hoon's heart. I call for a trial, Sung-ho announced. The human has corrupted our queen. By ancient law, he must die. Yuna stepped forward. You have no right. I have every right. The old laws are clear. Anyone who threatens the throne must face judgment. He looked at Ji-hoon with hate in his eyes. And this human threatens everything we are. The crowd of vampires whispered. Some agreed with Sung-ho. Others did not. But none of them moved. Ji-hoon looked at Yuna. She looked back at him. In her eyes, he saw fear. Real fear. For the first time, she was afraid. And somehow, that made him brave. I accept the trial, he said calmly. Everyone stared at him. Even Sung-ho was surprised. You accept? Do you know what that means? No, but I trust your queen to explain it to me. Yuna's eyes widened. Then, slowly, she smiled. The trial would begin at Moonrice. And Ji-hoon would fight for his life, and for something more. Are you sure you desire me? Human said the vampire queen. Yet I chose her. 3 days passed in the tower. Every night, a servant brought Ji-hoon food and water. The food was strange, but not bad. Some kind of meat and bread and fruit he did not recognize. At least they were keeping him alive. On the fourth night, the door opened. But this time, it was not a servant Dot, it was Yuna. She walked into a small room like she owned the entire universe. And maybe she did, at least on this planet. She wore a different dress now, dark blue like the deep ocean. Her black hair fell around her shoulders like silk. "You are still alive," she said. "Good." Ji-hoon stood up. "What about my crew?" "They are alive. For now. My people are hungry, but I have told them to wait." "Wait for what?" Yuna walked to the window and looked out at the red moons. "I have been thinking about you, human. About what you said. You are willing to die for your crew. This is unusual. It is not unusual for humans. Perhaps. I have not known many humans." She turned to face him. "Tell me about your world." "About Earth." Ji-hoon was surprised by the question. "Why do you want to know?" "Because I am curious. Because I have been alone on this dying planet for too long. Because talking to you is more interesting than talking to my own people." So Ji-hoon told her. He told her about Earth's blue oceans and green forests, about the cities that touch the sky, about the children playing in parks and the old people sitting in the sun, about music and art and love and hope. Yuna listened without speaking. Her red eyes never left his face. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "It sounds beautiful," she finally said. "I wish I could see it. Why can you not?" "The sun. Your world has a sun. Our kind cannot survive in sunlight. It burns us, kills us. That is why we live on Nocturna, the world of eternal night." Ji-hoon nodded. He remembered the old stories about vampires and sunlight. "I am sorry." "Do not be sorry. It is what we are." Yuna sat down on the only chair in the room. "Now, let us talk about your situation. My people want your blood. They have been patient, but they will not wait forever. Then let us leave. We will fly away and never return. You will never see humans again. That is one option. But there is a problem. Your ship is badly damaged. My servants say it cannot fly." Ji-hoon felt his heart sink. "It cannot be fixed?" "Perhaps it can. But my people have no experience with such machines. Only humans know how to repair human ships. Then let my crew fix it. We are good engineers. Give us time, and we will repair the horizon." Yuna shook her head. "And why would I do that? Why would I let my food escape?" Ji-hoon thought fast. He needed to find something that Yuna wanted. Something more valuable than human blood. "You said your people are starving," he said slowly. "How long have they been hungry?" "Many years. The creatures on this planet have thin, weak blood. It does not satisfy us. We grow weaker every decade. In time, my people will die. What if I could help you?" Yuna's eyes grew sharp. "How?" "On Earth, we have technology. Medical technology. We can make synthetic blood. Fake blood that is made in machines. It is used in hospitals when real blood is not available." "Fake blood?" Yuna sounded doubtful. "How can fake blood help us?" "We can make it taste like human blood. We can give it all the things your body needs. Your people would never be hungry again." Yuna stared at him. For the first time, Ji-hoon saw something new in her eyes. Hope. A tiny spark of hope that she quickly tried to hide. "You lie," she said. "This is a trick to escape." "It is not a trick. I can show you. Let me talk to my crew. Let me use the equipment on my ship. I can make a sample for you to try." Yuna stood up and walked around the small room. She was thinking. Ji-hoon could see the conflict on her face. Could she trust him? Should she take the risk? Finally, she stopped and looked at him. "If you are lying, I will kill you slowly. I will make you suffer for 100 years before you die. I am not lying. We will see. She moved toward the door, then stopped. Why are you trying to help us? We are monsters. We drink blood. We have killed millions of creatures across the universe. Why would you help us? Ji-hoon thought about the question. It was a good question. Why was he trying to help the creatures who wanted to eat him? Because everyone deserves a chance, he said. Even monsters. Maybe especially monsters. Yuna looked at him for a long time. Her face was hard to read. Then she nodded once and left the room. The next morning, guards came to take Ji-hoon to his ship. His heart jumped when he saw his crew. They were thin and scared, but they were alive. When they saw their captain, they rushed to him. Captain, we thought you were dead. Ji-hoon hugged them one by one. I am fine. Are you all okay? Is anyone hurt? His first officer, a woman named Hana, shook her head. We are okay. They have not hurt us. But they keep looking at us like we are dinner. I know. I am working on something. I need everyone's help. Ji-hoon explained his plan. The crew was shocked at first. Help the vampires? Make blood for them? But they trusted their captain. If he said this was the way to survive, they would follow him. They worked on the ship for many hours. The damage was bad, but not impossible to fix. While some crew members worked on repairs, others helped Ji-hoon with the synthetic blood. Yuna came to watch them work. She stood in the shadows, saying nothing, just watching. Her red eyes followed Ji-hoon everywhere he went. Hana noticed this. The queen is watching you, Captain, she whispered. Be careful. I know, but I think she is more curious than dangerous right now. Curious? About what? About us. About humans. I do not think she has ever met anyone who was not afraid of her. After many hours, Ji-hoon had a small bottle of synthetic blood. It was dark red and smelled like metal. He hoped it would work. He walked to Yuna and held out the bottle. Try this. Yuna took the bottle and looked at it carefully. If this is poison, it is not poison. Please, just try it. Yuna opened the bottle and smelled it. Her eyes widened a little. Then she put it to her lips and drank. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her whole body shook. Her eyes closed. When she opened them again, they were glowing brighter than ever. It is good, she whispered. It tastes like human blood. No, it tastes better. How is this possible? Ji-hoon smiled. Science. We can make more. As much as you need. Your people will never be hungry again. Yuna looked at the empty bottle in her hand. Then she looked at Ji-hoon. Something had changed in her eyes. The coldness was still there, but now there was something else too. Gratitude, and maybe something more. You kept your promise, she said softly. You really helped us. I told you I would. Yuna stepped closer to him. Very close. He could feel the cold coming from her body, but he did not step back. You are a strange human, Ji-hoon, she said. I have never met anyone like you. And you are a strange queen, Yuna. I have never met anyone like you either. For the first time, Yuna smiled. A real smile, not the cold one she showed in the throne room. It made her look younger, almost human. Perhaps, she said, we can learn from each other. She turned and walked away. But Ji-hoon saw that she kept an empty bottle in her hand, and he knew that something had changed between them, something that could not be undone. Are you sure you desire me? Human said the vampire queen. Yet I chose her. The starship Horizon was burning. Captain Ji-hoon grabbed the control panel as his ship shook hard. Red lights flashed everywhere. The alarm screamed in his ears. Through the cracked window, he could see a dark planet coming closer and closer. All crew, Prepare for crash landing. He shouted into the speaker. His ship had been traveling through unknown space when something hit them. He did not know what it was. Maybe a meteor. Maybe something worse. But now his ship was falling toward a planet that was not on any map. The horizon hit the ground hard. Ji-hoon felt pain in his whole body. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on cold stone. The air smelled strange, like old blood and dying flowers. He tried to move, but his hands were tied with chains. "He wakes," said a voice in the darkness. Ji-hoon looked up. He was in a huge hall made of black stone. Tall pillars rose into the shadows above. Torches burned with purple fire on the walls. And all around him stood creatures that made his blood turn cold. They looked like humans, but they were not humans. Their skin was too pale, like the moon. Their eyes glowed red in the dark. And when they smiled, he could see their long, sharp teeth. Vampires. Ji-hoon had heard stories about them. Old Earth legends said they were monsters who drank blood. But those were just stories. Vampires were not real, yet here they were, looking at him like he was food. "Bring him forward," commanded a female voice. Two vampires grabbed Ji-hoon and dragged him toward the end of the hall. There, on a throne made of bones and silver, sat the most beautiful and terrifying woman he had ever seen. Her hair was long and black like the night sky. Her skin was white like fresh snow. Her eyes were deep red like rubies filled with fire. She wore a dress of dark silk that moved like water when she breathed. This was Yuna, the vampire queen. She looked at Ji-hoon with curious eyes. "A human," she said slowly. "It has been many centuries since a human came to our world." Ji-hoon stood straight, even though his body hurt. "I am Captain Ji-hoon of the Earth Starship Horizon. My ship crashed on your planet. I mean no harm to you or your people." A vampire next to the throne laughed. "He means no harm. How sweet. Does the rabbit tell the wolf it means no harm?" Other vampires laughed too. But Yuna did not laugh. She continued to watch Ji-hoon with those burning red eyes. "You are brave, human," she said. "Most creatures cry and beg when they stand before me. Yet you stand tall. You speak without fear." "I am afraid," Ji-hoon admitted. "But fear does not help anyone. So I choose to be brave instead." Yuna leaned forward on her throne. "Interesting. Tell me, human, do you know where you are?" "Your planet. I do not know its name." "This is Nocturna," Yuna said. "The world of eternal night. The sun never rises here. And this is my kingdom. I have ruled here for 3,000 years. 3,000 years. Ji-hoon could not imagine living that long. He was only 32 years old. "What happened to your ship?" Yuna asked. "Something attacked us. We were just passing through this area of space. We did not know anyone lived here." Yuna nodded slowly. "Our defense system. It attacks any ship that comes too close. We do not like visitors." "I understand. If you let me and my crew go, we will leave and never return." At this, Yuna smiled. It was a cold smile that showed her sharp teeth. "Let you go? Why would I do that? You are humans. Do you know what humans are to us?" Ji-hoon felt his heart beating fast. "Food," he said quietly. "Yes, food. Your blood is the sweetest in all the universe. We have not tasted human blood for 500 years. Not since the last human ship came here." The vampires around the hall made hungry sounds. Their red eyes all looked at Ji-hoon. He could feel their desire. They wanted his blood. "My people are starving," Yuna continued. "We have tried to drink the blood of other creatures, but nothing satisfies us like human blood. And now you fall from the sky like a gift. You and your crew. How many are there?" Ji-hoon did not want to answer, but he knew they would find out anyway. 42. including me, 42 humans. Yuna's eyes glowed brighter. That will feed my people for some time. Please, Ji-hoon said. My crew are good people. They have families back on Earth, children waiting for their parents to come home. If you must take someone, take only me. Let the others go. The hall became silent. All the vampires stared at Ji-hoon with surprise. Even Yuna's cold expression changed for a moment. You offer yourself to save others? She asked. You would die for them? Yes, without question. Yuna stood up from her throne. She was tall, taller than Ji-hoon expected. She walked down the steps slowly, her dress flowing behind her like dark water. She stopped right in front of him. This close, she was even more beautiful. But Ji-hoon could also see the danger in her eyes. She was a predator, a queen of monsters. One word from her and he would die. You are strange, human, she said softly. I have lived for 3,000 years. I have seen many creatures face death. They all beg. They all cry. They all try to run. But you offer yourself for others. Why? Because that is what humans do, Ji-hoon said. We protect each other. We care for each other. Even when we are afraid, we do what is right. Yuna stared at him for a long moment. Something moved in her red eyes. Was it curiosity, respect, or something else? Take him to the tower, she finally said. I will decide what to do with him later. Do not harm him, yet. The vampires grabbed Ji-hoon again. As they dragged him away, he looked back at the vampire queen. She was still watching him, and in that moment, something happened. Something neither of them expected. A small spark, like a star being born in the darkness. Ji-hoon did not know it yet. Neither did Yuna, but their story had just begun. The tower was cold and dark. They threw Ji-hoon into a small room with one window that looked out at the endless night sky. There were 2 moons in the sky, both red like blood. He sat down on the cold floor and thought about his crew. Were they alive? Were they scared? He had to find a way to save them. But first, he had to survive the vampire queen. He closed his eyes and remembered her face. So beautiful. So dangerous. So sad. Yes, that was what he saw in her eyes. Behind all the power and the coldness, there was sadness. A loneliness that came from living too long and seeing too much. Ji-hoon did not know why he noticed this. He did not know why he cared. But he did, and that would change everything. Are you sure you desire me? Human said the vampire queen. Yet I chose her. 1 year had passed since the trial. The horizon was fully repaired. Its engines hummed with power. It could fly again, could carry Ji-hoon and his crew back to Earth. But the ship sat quietly in its place, waiting. Because its captain had no desire to leave. Nocturna had changed. The synthetic blood machines were everywhere now. Every village, every town, every city had one. No vampire went hungry. No creature had to die. The old ways of hunting and killing were becoming memories. Stories told by grandparents to children who could barely believe them. And at the center of this change stood 2 people. A vampire queen and a human. Captain. Ji-hoon walked through the palace gardens with Yuna. The gardens were beautiful in their own dark way. Flowers that glowed purple and blue grew alongside trees with silver leaves. Strange birds sang songs that sounded like wind through broken glass. The council meeting is in 1 hour, Yuna said. Are you nervous? Ji-hoon smiled. A little. It is not every day that you ask an entire planet to join hands with Earth. Today was the day. After months of planning, months of sending messages between Nocturna and Earth, the moment had finally come. Leaders from Earth were sending their response. The alliance between humans and vampires would either begin or end today. Whatever happens, Yuna said, taking his hand. "We face it together." "Together," Ji-hoon agreed. They walked into the great hall. It was filled with vampires from all over Nocturna. Lords and ladies, soldiers and scholars, workers and artists. They had all come to witness this moment. Ji-hoon's crew was there too. Over the past year, they had become part of Nocturna's community. Some had made friends among the vampires. Some had even found love. Hana, his first officer, was now working with vampire scientists to improve the blood machines. She looked happy, happier than Ji-hoon had ever seen her. Yuna sat on her throne. Ji-hoon stood beside her. It was a position that had caused much discussion at first. A human standing next to the vampire queen? Impossible. But over time, the vampires had accepted it. They had seen how much Ji-hoon had done for their world. They had seen how much their queen loved him. A large screen flickered to life in front of them. On it appeared the face of Earth's president, an old woman with kind eyes and gray hair. "Queen Yuna of Nocturna," the president said. "Captain Ji-hoon, thank you for this opportunity to speak." "Thank you for receiving our message," Yuna replied. "We know that vampires are creatures of legend on your world. We know you have reason to fear us. Fear can be overcome with understanding," the president said. "Captain Ji-hoon's reports have told us much about your people, about your culture, about your desire for peace, and about the changes you have made on your world. We are not the monsters of your old stories," Yuna said. "We do not need to hunt humans. We do not need to kill. We want only to live. And perhaps to learn." The president nodded slowly. "The Council of Earth has discussed your proposal. An alliance between our worlds. Trade, diplomacy, shared knowledge. It is a big step." The hall was silent. Everyone held their breath. "We have made our decision," the president continued. "The Council of Earth accepts your offer of alliance. We will send ambassadors to Nocturna. We will welcome your representatives on Earth. We will work together for a future of peace." The hall erupted in cheers. Vampires hugged each other. Some cried. After 3,000 years of isolation, they were no longer alone in the universe. Ji-hoon felt tears in his own eyes. He had done it. They had done it. Together. Yuna stood up from her throne. The hall grew quiet again. "My people," she said, her voice strong and clear. "Today we begin a new chapter in our history. A chapter of friendship, not fear. Of cooperation, not conflict. Of hope, not hunger. And we owe this change to one person." She turned to Ji-hoon. "1 year ago, this human crashed on our world. He was our prisoner, our food, our enemy. But he became something else. He became our savior, our teacher, our friend. And he became..." She paused. "He became my heart." Ji-hoon stared at her. What was she doing? Yuna reached out and took his hand. "In the old days, vampires did not marry. We lived too long for such things. Love came and went like seasons. But this human taught me that time does not matter. What matters is how we use the time we have." She looked into his eyes. "Ji-hoon, captain of the horizon, human of Earth, in front of my people and yours, I ask you, will you stand beside me? Not just as an ally, not just as a friend, but as my partner, my equal, my king?" The hall was completely silent. Every eye watched them. Ji-hoon's heart was beating so fast he thought it might burst. King? Her king? He was just a human. A simple captain. How could he be king of the vampires? But then he looked at Yuna, at her red eyes that held centuries of loneliness, at her pale face that showed a rare vulnerability, at her hand that held his so tightly, and he knew his answer. "Yes," he said. 1,000 times yes. "I will stand beside you. I will love you. I will be your king, your partner, your everything. For whatever time we have together. Yuna smiled. That beautiful, real smile that he loved so much. She pulled him close and kissed him in front of everyone. The hall exploded with cheers again. Vampires and humans celebrated together. History was being made. Months later, they held the ceremony. It was unlike anything either world had ever seen. Humans came from Earth in great ships. Vampires came from every corner of Nocturna. Two cultures, two species, coming together to celebrate love. Ji-hoon wore a uniform of black and silver. Yuna wore a dress of white silk that shone like starlight. They stood together under the twin red moons and made their promises. I will protect you, Ji-hoon said. Even when I am old and weak. I will cherish you, Yuna said. Even when you are gone and I must carry your memory alone. I will love you, they said together. Through all the stars and all the darkness between them. And they sealed their vows with a kiss. The celebration lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. There was food and music and dancing. Humans learned vampire songs. Vampires learned human dances. Children from both worlds played together, not caring about fangs or warm blood or cold skin. On the last night, Ji-hoon and Yuna stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out at their two people celebrating below. Do you ever regret it? Yuna asked. Crashing on my world? Staying here? Choosing me? Ji-hoon thought about it. He thought about Earth with its blue skies and warm sun. About the life he could have had. The normal, safe, boring life. Then he looked at Yuna, at his wife, at his queen, at the most extraordinary being he had ever known. Never, he said. Not for 1 second. You are my home now. You are my sun. Even if that sun is made of red moons and eternal night. Yuna leaned against him. You know what is strange? I used to think humans were weak. Small creatures with short lives and fragile bodies. But I was wrong. Humans are the strongest creatures in the universe. Why do you say that? Because your greatest strength is not your weapons or your technology. It is your heart. Your stubborn, foolish, beautiful heart. You love despite knowing you will lose. You hope despite knowing you might fail. You choose kindness even when you could choose power. That is strength. Real strength. Ji-hoon smiled. Maybe that is why you chose me. Maybe it is. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning. And here, on Nocturna, a new world was being born. A world where vampires and humans were no longer enemies. Where love was stronger than fear. Where one man's choice changed everything. Yun looked up at Ji-hoon. Are you happy? He looked back at her. At his wife. His queen. His forever. Are you sure you desire me? He said, echoing her words from long ago. I am just a human. I will grow old. I will die. Yuna smiled. Yet I chose you. And I would choose you again. 1,000,000 times. Across 1,000,000 stars. I would always choose you. Then yes, Ji-hoon said. I am happy, completely, perfectly, eternally happy. And he was. This is the story of how humanity's greatest strength was never its weapons, never its ships, never its technology. It was something simpler, something stronger. A stubborn, foolish, beautiful heart. The end. Are you sure you desire me, human? Said the vampire queen. Yet I chose her. The trial was held in the great arena. Long ago. This place had been used for games and battles. Now it was filled with thousands of vampires, all watching, all waiting. They sat in stone seats that rose high into the dark sky. Red torches burned everywhere, making the arena glow like fire. Ji-hoon stood in the center. He wore simple clothes. He had no weapon. Around him, The crowd whispered and pointed. Look at him. So small. So weak. He will die in minutes. Why does the queen even care about him? Yuna sat on a special throne high above the arena. Her face showed no emotion, but inside, her heart was breaking. She had tried to stop this trial. She had used every law and every argument. But Sungho had been clever. He had found old rules that even she could not break. Sungho himself entered the arena. He wore black armor and carried a long silver sword. He was tall and strong, one of the oldest and most powerful vampires in the kingdom. Human, he called out, his voice filling the arena. Do you know the rules of this trial? Ji-hoon shook his head. No, it is simple. We fight. The one who lives wins. The one who dies loses. That does not seem fair. You are a vampire. You have lived for thousands of years. You have armor and a sword. I have nothing. Sungho smiled cruelly. Life is not fair, human. But do not worry. I will make your death quick. Consider it a mercy. A guard came forward and offered Ji-hoon a small knife. It was the only weapon he was allowed to have. Ji-hoon looked at the knife, then at Sungho with his sword and armor. This was impossible. He could not win this fight. He was just a human, but he thought about his crew. He thought about Yuna. He thought about everything he had learned in his life. Humans were not strong like vampires. They did not live for thousands of years. They could not move fast or heal from wounds. But humans had something else. Something that had helped them survive for millions of years. They never gave up. I am ready, Ji-hoon said. Sungho laughed. Brave words for a dead man. Let us begin. The fight started fast. Sungho moved like lightning. His sword cut through the air toward Ji-hoon's head. But Ji-hoon had been watching. He had noticed that Sungho was arrogant. He was sure he would win. And arrogant people make mistakes. Ji-hoon dropped to the ground and rolled away. The sword missed him by a finger's width. The crowd gasped. They had expected the human to die immediately. But he was still alive. Sung-ho attacked again and again. Each time, Ji-hoon barely escaped. He was not trying to win. He was trying to survive. To find an opening. To wait for his chance. Stay still and die. Sungho shouted, angry now. You cannot escape forever. I do not need forever, Ji-hoon replied. I just need long enough. Minutes passed. Ji-hoon's body was tired. He had cuts on his arms and legs. Blood dripped onto the stone floor. But he kept moving. He kept fighting. High above, Yuna gripped her throne. She wanted to stop this. She wanted to jump down and save him. But she could not. If she broke the rules of the trial, her people would never trust her again. She had to watch. She had to hope. Ji-hoon saw an opening. Sungho raised his sword for a big attack, leaving his side unprotected for just 1 second. Ji-hoon took his chance. He rushed forward and drove his small knife into Sungho's side. Between the pieces of armor, Sungho screamed in pain and anger. He grabbed Ji-hoon and threw him across the arena. Ji-hoon hit the stone wall hard. He felt something crack in his body. Maybe a rib. Maybe more. But he had hurt Sungho. The great vampire lord was bleeding. You cut me. Sungho touched his wound, staring at his own blood. No human has ever made me bleed. There is always a first time, Ji-hoon said, standing up slowly. The crowd was silent now. They watched with new eyes. This human was not like others. This human was special. Sungho's face twisted with rage. All his pride, all his arrogance, burned away. Now there was only hate. He raised his sword one final time. Die, human. Die knowing that your queen will forget you. That your people will become our food. That everything you did was for nothing. He brought the sword down. and then everything changed. A blur of black silk appeared between them. The sword stopped in midair, caught by a pale hand. Yuna stood there, holding Sungho's blade with her bare hand. Blood dripped from her palm where the sharp edge cut her skin. But she did not seem to feel the pain. Her eyes burned with fury. "Enough," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it filled the entire arena. "This trial is over." "My queen!" Sungho was shocked. "You cannot interfere. The ancient laws say a trial ends when one side cannot continue. Look at your human opponent, Sungho. He still stands. He still fights. But you? You are scared. I can smell your fear. You were ready to kill him not because you were winning, but because you knew if the fight continued, you would lose." Sungho's face went pale. The crowd began to whisper. Yuna dropped his sword. "The trial is over. Ji-hoon has proven himself. He is no threat to this kingdom. He is a friend, and anyone who harms him will answer to me." She turned to the crowd. "My people, listen to me. I have ruled you for 3,000 years. I have protected you. I have kept you alive. And now I am telling you that this human and his crew are under my protection. The old ways must end. We do not need to hunt. We do not need to kill. We can live differently. We can be better." The arena was silent. Then, slowly, one vampire stood up and bowed. Then another. Then more. Soon, hundreds of vampires were bowing to their queen. Sungho looked around in horror. He had lost. His followers had abandoned him. "This is not over," he hissed at Yuna. "You have chosen a human over your own kind. History will remember your shame." "History will remember that I chose peace," Yuna replied. "And that is nothing to be ashamed of." Guards came to take Sungho away. As they dragged him from the arena, Yuna turned to Ji-hoon. He was barely standing, covered in blood and bruises. "You stupid, brave human," she said softly. "Why did you not give up?" Ji-hoon smiled through the pain. "Because you were watching. I could not lose in front of you." Yuna shook her head, but she was smiling too. She helped him walk out of the arena. The crowd watched in amazement. Their queen helping a human, holding his hand, looking at him with eyes that showed something they had not seen in 3,000 years. Love. Later, in her private chambers, Yuna sat beside Ji-hoon while doctors treated his wounds. He had broken 2 ribs and lost a lot of blood, but he would live. When the doctors left, Yuna took his hand. "You almost died for me," she said. "I almost died for everyone. For my crew. For your people. For a future where we do not have to be enemies." Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been burning in her heart since that first night in the throne room. "Are you sure you desire me, human? I am a monster. I have killed. I have ruled through fear. I will live forever while you grow old and die. Are you sure you want this?" Ji-hoon looked at her. Her red eyes, her pale skin, her ancient soul. "I chose you," he said simply. "Not despite what you are, but because of who you are, who you became, who you are still becoming. I do not care if I only have 50 years. I want to spend them with you." Tears appeared in Yuna's eyes. Real tears. She had not cried in 1,000 years. "You are the strangest human I have ever met," she whispered. "And you are the most beautiful queen in the universe." She leaned down and kissed him. Her lips were cold, but the kiss was warm. It tasted like forever. Outside, the 2 red moons shone down on Nocturna. And for the first time in 3,000 years, the world of eternal night did not feel so dark.